A spoofed HSBC text drained accounts. The liability moved from customers to the bank. It looked real. The bank let it through. Customers lost $100 million. You'd assume the customer ate it. A court made the bank pay $35 million. The bank didn't run the scam. It failed to stop it. That's the line regulators now draw, everywhere. Here's what makes this one worth your time. The scam itself was ordinary, a text, built to look like HSBC, landing in the same thread as the customer's real alerts. People followed it. Money left. You've seen that before. But this story isn't about the scam. It's about who a court decided should pay for it. HSBC didn't send the text. HSBC didn't take the money. HSBC is the one writing the check. The question is how? The answer is a rule book most banks assume they already follow. Start with the scale, because it's why a regulator got involved. Between 2021 and 2024, HSBC customers in Australia lost more than $100 million Australian dollars to these scams. In just 9 months of 2024, around 61 million. This wasn't a handful of victims. It was a pattern running for years inside one bank. So Australia's regulator, ASIC, took HSBC to federal court, not the scammers, the bank. And here's the first reversal. When you hear bank scam, you picture the attacker as the story. ASIC didn't. It treated the attacker as a given and asked a different question. Not how the scammers got in, what the bank did before and after the money moved. Because that's where the liability lives. Not in the breach. In the response to it. So what did the bank do? Start with the control. The fake texts landed inside the customer's genuine HSBC thread, same sender ID, right under real alerts. To the customer, indistinguishable. The bank had inadequate controls on the systems meant to catch and stop those unauthorized transfers. That's failure 1. But the open control isn't the damning part. This is, HSBC didn't discover this risk in 2024. It knew. The bank had been aware of this exact impersonation vector since 2021. And the reports kept climbing through 2023 and 2024. 3 years of warning. The same control still open. Then, the third failure. The one that turns a gap into a penalty. When customers reported the unauthorized transfers, HSBC took on average 144 days to investigate. Nearly 5 months. And Australia has a rule book. It's called the E-Payments Code. It sets out who absorbs the loss when a transaction is unauthorized and how fast the bank must act. HSBC didn't comply with it. So read the sequence back. A known risk, an open control, a 5-month delay, a loss rule the bank ignored. None of that is the scammer's doing. Every piece is the bank's. That's the mechanism that moves the liability. The customer didn't lose the money because they were careless. They lost it and stayed losing it because the institution meant to catch it, investigate it, and allocate it did none of those in time. So ASIC took it to federal court. The court agreed. HSBC admitted to systemic failures in protecting its customers from scams. Then, the numbers. The bank had already repaid around $21.5 million to customers it failed. On top of that, the federal court ordered a $35 million penalty. Stop on that. The scammers took the money. The bank is the one paying it back, and then paying again to the regulator for letting it happen. That is the liability transfer in hard figures. The loss started with the customer. It ended on the bank's books. And notice what the penalty is for. Not for being attacked. Every bank gets attacked. It's for failing the obligations around the attack. Detection, investigation, loss allocation. The attack was the trigger. The failure to manage it was the offense. And the court wasn't done. It ordered HSBC to publish the failure on its website, in its app, in letters to its own customers. A bank compelled to tell the people it failed that it failed them. That's not a quiet settlement buried in a quarterly report. It's a forced, public admission. Here's why it reaches anyone inside a regulated firm. What's being punished isn't exotic. Every consumer-facing bank has the same obligations. HSBC breached: catch the unauthorized transfer, investigate it fast, allocate the loss by the rules. HSBC almost certainly believed it was doing all three. The penalty is the distance between believing your protection works and proving it stopped the loss in time. The scam didn't create that exposure. The gap in the protection program did. So take one filter from this. Next time someone says your fraud controls are adequate, don't ask whether they catch attacks. Ask the harder one. When a customer reports an unauthorized transfer, how fast does the clock start? And who has already decided, in writing, who absorbs the loss? That's the test a regulator runs. Not, were your customers targeted? Everyone's customers are targeted. It's, did your protection hold after they were? If that answer takes weeks to find, you don't have a fraud problem. You have a liability problem. And it's already on your books. You just haven't been billed yet. And don't file this one under Australia. The same logic is already live closer to home for most of you. In the UK, banks now have to reimburse victims of these scams. By rule, there are conditions and caps. But the rule stands and the direction is identical. The institution that fails to stop the scam absorbs it. The bank pays, even though it never sent the message. Australia enforced it through a code and a court. The UK wrote it straight into the rules. Others are moving the same way. So here's the shift. For years, the scammed customer was the party who lost. That's ending. The party who pays is becoming the one who failed to prevent. The bank, the platform, the institution holding the controls. The breach is no longer the expensive part. The protection failure is. HSBC is one of the first major banks to learn that the costly half of a scam isn't the money that left. It's the liability for not stopping it. If you want the pattern, this sits inside. Regulators turning a bank's control failures into the bank's penalty. The Metro Bank breakdown is the next watch. Same shape, different regulator, different control. Every source for this one is linked below. Scam Beast.